Manur Ahmad.
Mahnur Ahmed.
Ahmed.
Mahnur Ahmed. There we go. Woo! Was that too loud? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go this way.
Running for County Board 2, and then we have Mary Rada Walters running for County Board 2. These are the 2-year terms. And then we have 3 candidates running for County Board 2. We have an incumbent. What did I say? 2 again? 5. And that's Sadia Covert. She is an incumbent. And then we have Ian Holzhauer. And we have Mary Lee Liu. Okay? Thank you very much. The first question is going to go to Manur. We have, what one thing at the county do you feel is going well that you support and would get behind once you are in office? And what is something that you feel definitely needs changing, and what would you do about it once you are in office?
Thank you again, Lyle, for doing this. And sorry if I said my name too loud. I didn't know what the mic was doing. But one thing I would get behind is the $2.2 million that were allocated from nonprofit organizations to food pantries. Because of what is happening though federally, we were able to really bridge that gap at the county level. What I would focus on is women's health in DuPage County. I had a conversation today with a 21-year-old woman who said that she needed to go get Plan B, and there was complications. She went to the hospital, she got a big bill. Then she got home, she got a huge bill of the emergency room. And we can't have those situations. Her income is too much to qualify for Medicaid, and she can't monthly pay for Medicaid. We need something in DuPage County for women's health, ASAP. That is something we can't wait on. That is something we can't twiddle our fingers, and we really need something urgently.
All right. Thank you, Lyle, so much for having me. Really appreciate that you're holding this forum so you can learn more about us. I'm Mary Rada Walters for District 2. One thing I can really get behind, I feel like it's hard to pick one, but I would say for the 2026 budget, there is the 18.1 million DuPage Sustainability Initiative. What that is basically to create strong social infrastructure in areas of food insecurity, affordable housing, as well as community sustainability. So they took this extra money, it's almost like a slush fund in a way, to make sure that certain programs were funded, such as down payment assistance programs. There was 3.1 million to food pantries. All of these things that may be cut at a federal level are being supported by the board in anticipation of that possibly happening. I know we had that scare at the end in November, December, where they cut food assistance. Now they're looking at cutting possibly childcare to any blue governor-led states. One thing that I feel like could be something that I would like to change is accessibility. What I mean by that is the DuPage County Board meets on Tuesdays during the day. Majority of people are working. I know once per year they offer an evening meeting. That was in November this year. I attended that meeting. It was very well attended, as in there were so many people in the viewing area, they had to open an overflow room, and people were then watching from that room as well. In an ideal world, it would be great if we could try to do that quarterly. I know there's logistical challenges in doing that. And I know people can go on the website and can pull minutes and can see what is happening. However, sometimes those minutes are hard to understand. They're not written in layman's terms. So I feel like we need to find a way to bring government back to the people so people know what's going on. And so thank you.
Thank you. I'm Sadia Covert. I'm your DuPage County Board Representative in District 5, serving you since 2018. So I have been with you since Trump's first administration, and now, unfortunately, his second administration. So we have been together through 2 Trump terms and a pandemic, and lots of challenging times. But I do have good news. Despite all this, 2 things that we have going for us. We have a AAA bond rating. We have a great budget, balanced budget at the county board. We are actually in the surplus. We are a fiscal board. So we have to manage a $500 million budget, and we need to make sure that we're balancing in a way we're not increasing our tax levies. We're not, the tax burden isn't on you as a constituent. And we've been doing a pretty good job because we are in the surplus right now. Food pantries, we're doing very well on. We had ARPA initiatives where each district got a certain amount of funds that were to be spent according to our choosing. I spent gave $50,000 to the Naperville Food Bank. I'm always supportive of our food banks. Nobody should go hungry. And I know that SNAP benefits and food insecurity was a thing in November, but I don't doubt that it will not be a thing. I just don't know. With this current administration, you don't know, and it affects us at the county board. Our programs are cut, our funding is cut, and it's really challenging. So we need to make sure that we have people on the board that can handle those types of situations. And I'm proud to say that I've been handling it since 2018. The Crisis Center is another accomplishment that we have for mental health, substance abuse. It is a huge accomplishment that we've built this crisis recovery center for children, for teenagers, for adults with substance abuse and mental health issues. We just built this center and we're doing wonderfully well. I have been talking to the mayor of Naperville, trying to see the buy-ins that we can get through our Elmhurst Edwards Hospital. We have CDC. So sustainability is, it's in the works, and it does need to be sustainable. So I'm looking at other options to make sure that it is sustainable. What I would say is that what needs more work, housing, affordability of housing is becoming an issue. That is something that one of the things that I would like to focus on, and I will be talking about this more on the county board. So, I mean, I know interest rates are up, but now we have a bidding problem, an overbidding problem that is not helping. It's an added layer of an artificial creation of imbalance in the market. So if we could do anything on the county board, I mean, I'm going to be looking into this more. So thank you.
Thank you, LTDO, for hosting, and it's a privilege to be sitting up here with Member Covert and Mary Lou, both elected officials. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service to your country. I would say with regard to county services, I'm going to agree with Member Covert on the CRC, the Crisis Recovery Center. Within really the last decade almost, I think that is one of the proudest accomplishments that you can look at. That is a nationwide leading facility. This is something which you don't have to be an elected official to see. You probably have someone in your family, your friend group, your community who's gone through a mental health crisis in the post-pandemic era. And it is truly potentially one of the greatest crises we've faced as a country in a generation. With that, I'm very proud as a Naperville City Council member that we also have taken a national leading position, funding a dedicated 6-member mental health only crisis response unit in the Naperville Police Department. There are only a handful of communities in the entire nation with anything like this. And the idea is for the 900+ mental health calls per year that we have in Naperville, which by the way have about a 2.5-hour response time per call, we can have the same officers responding to these houses every time, so people get consistent care, and instead of being sent to a prison or to homelessness, they're given the help that they need, and they're able to be productive members of society. As a county board member, I'd love to implement programs like that on the county scale, so that we have the sheriff's office implementing programs along those lines. One other comment I would make is leadership is also about acts that carry symbolic weight. And I give a lot of credit to the county board for renaming the DuPage County Courthouse, formerly the Henry Hyde Courthouse, named after somebody who's taken away the rights of probably millions of women around the world, and is now named as the People's House, which I think is highly appropriate. Something that I would like to see in the future, one of the things that's really surprised me working on a city level is how sometimes cooperation between the different cities in the county can be almost piecemeal. You know, we have this data center that is controversially being proposed in Naperville, something which I've opposed, but I've been somewhat surprised how sometimes the coordination between communities isn't there. You can have a developer that's going to the lowest bidder, going to a community that may not be running the same kinds of due diligence that their neighbor next door might be. I hope at a countywide level we can take a stand, especially on an issue like that, that can make a generational impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. I would, unfortunately going last, end up echoing some of the great things about DuPage. Everybody who lives here knows that it's a great place to live. That's why we move here. And being a county board member, the goal would be to continue to make it the vibrant, excellent place that we all have moved to on purpose. As Ian and the others have mentioned, the CRC Center is one of the things that have been a great implementation. Alongside of that, what I would like to do with my project management experience in Six Sigma is ensure that we're implementing metrics to make sure that we didn't just put this great big beautiful building in and we're not actually staffing the right resources to do it. So add an extra layer of take something that's good and make it great. Anybody that's read the book, Good to Great. Take what we have that's fantastic here and improve it. And as Ian mentioned, even though symbolically the Henry Hyde building being ripped down or name change is something that is personally near and dear to my heart as a individual who has stood outside of our Planned Parenthoods, helping women get in and get services, escorting them with protesters across the street. I've had protesters in my face for years, not just since Trump got elected. So this is not new to me. One of the things that I would change about county board if I got on is planning for our future and long term. I have two almost adult children. My youngest is 17 and my oldest is actually over in the Nest meeting right now, home from college. And I've said this before, they want to come home and I would love for them to be in my home forever, but they want to move out. They can't afford to do it. And so there's sustainability factors for the affordable housing that we need to make sure our children can live outside of our home but near home and continue to raise their families and go through the school district that they have. And that also includes taking some of these funds from ARPA that are still remaining. I know the spend was supposed to be done by December of 24, but there's a little slush fund still remaining, that we utilize those for things like technology in our stormwater management, in the sense that some of the data we're using is from the 1940s and 50s. We're not addressing the climate change if we're using water tables from the 1950s. That's not happening. So, and as Ian mentioned, things like the data centers, even though it's not necessarily a county board vote, if it's a democratic value, that's where my vote is going to stand.
Guido and Christopher, Guido Nardini and Christopher Espinoza are running for County Board 2 for the 4-year term. So here is Guido's response.
Well, there are a bunch of things, so I'm going to kind of cheat and give a few answers. One of them is there's a balanced budget. We live in a world where Democrats are tax and spend, hair on fire, crazy liberals, and they don't know how to balance their books. Well, at DuPage County Board, they do. So that's one brief thing. Something with a little more meat on the bone or a little more substance is the Crisis Recovery Center. There is a new and expensive and first of its kind initiative that is in DuPage, and that's exciting. On Elmhurst City Council, I've had personal experience with problems of homelessness or vagrancy, and I realized firsthand that the Elmhurst Police Department can't do much more then talk a guy out of Elmhurst or arrest him. If you want to address that problem, it falls on the county. And I watched that happen. And from the DuPage County interaction, this crisis recovery center has mental health issues, addiction issues, detox. It is a first of its kind, and it is absolutely something I will support. I will say, from my experience at work, any new initiative can't just be plopped on the table and run on its own. It's going to need attention, it's going to need love and care, and it's something that I think the board ignores at its own peril. They should need to pay attention. Something that I would definitely, that I have a problem with, that I would like to change, is there is, I'm gonna take it as a Democrat and then just as a practicer of governance. There's an embarrassing thing going on with the clerk. And as a Democrat, it's internal Democratic fighting that makes us look incompetent. As a practitioner of governance, as somebody who wants stuff to run well, we need to make sure that whoever is in the office of the clerk budgets within his or her budget and doesn't hold hostage the elections of the county based upon what bonuses that person can give after the budget has already been offered. That is something that I would be very interested in addressing before an end of year showdown.
Christopher up here.
Appreciate the opportunity to answer. I think that the investments that the county has made in the Crisis Recovery Center, in mental health services for DuPage County has been amazing, and I think that we need to absolutely continue to prioritize that funding and those programs, and I think they provide an incredible service to our county, to our residents, to the people who are most vulnerable in our communities, and they seek a lot of care there. So I think continuing those efforts is really important. When it comes to problems with the county board, I think that the way that, I think there's a lack of collaboration sometimes with the board and other departments, the board members themselves, and I think there is a real need for better communication between all of the elected officials, all of the agencies that have to work collaboratively to provide resources to the community, to the constituents, to the taxpayers, right? We're paying taxes and we're looking for the most quality services that we possibly can get from our elected officials, from our departments at a county level, and that requires active collaboration amongst everybody involved in that process. So I think if you're looking at problems with the clerk's office and the board, even just board members from different sides of the aisle, I think there needs to be better communication. And I think you also need someone on the board who doesn't come in with any existing understandings of how these things are supposed to function, right? I know how that government's supposed to provide services to people, and they're supposed to be effective when communicating and when working together. And so how can I take that perspective of not coming in with biases to really work for the people of DuPage County? I think that's what I bring, and I think that's what I'd like to see most change when I get on the board.
Question. Okay, what life experiences do you have that you believe provide you with unique perspective over your opponents that will make you a better candidate, and how will that translate into benefits for your constituents? And I'm going to start with Mary Lee this time. Okay.
Thank you. I would say that the thing that probably sets me apart from both my opponents is that I think I'm the only union member. I'm a former ASME union member. I come from a small town, and I ended up joining the service because college really wasn't an option. In my time in the service, I became a Navy paramedic. I joined the Navy and I was a paramedic, and that experience of not only caring for others, caring for my fellow sailors, caring for people. I worked in the emergency room for 2 years as a paramedic, and then I worked in the ICU when I came stateside. So being able to make quick decisions, genuinely, people's lives have been in my hands. And from there, I have left the military and gone into project management. And in there, the difference between the two is, one is reactive, which I think everybody feels right now. We are just reacting. But we have to remember that we have to plan for the long term. There is a balance of making sure that we're addressing these immediate issues where our neighbors and our friends are being taken and kidnapped and killed, literally killed. I've been there. I've had somebody die in front of me. And that's not to say that that makes me a better person. It just makes me know firsthand that when your neighbor is scared, they're genuinely scared for their lives. And I also have worked for the state of Illinois, for the Department of Natural Resources, and in child support. So talking to that person firsthand that comes to you because they need that child support money to feed their children. These are the things that they don't care what the computer says. And that system is, again, from the 1950s. That's just the way it is. It's software based on a DOS computer base. And that's the way I will handle constituents is you don't care that the system is broken or that there's red tape, but I have the experience of being at the ground level handling the government red tape, whether it's with the federal government, with the state government, or just a PTA. And that's no different from the treasurer's report here today that we're managing to your own electric bill. And those are the things that I'll be concerned about. Those finances where I've handled $1 million budgets as a project manager. I've handled state budgets. And as Member Covert said, this job is mostly oversight. And that's the experience I bring, and I think that I hold different. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think the way the question was phrased, it was something along the lines of what better qualifies you. And I just don't see it that way. One of the best things about being in the Democratic Party is that this is a big tent. There are many different voices up here and on that screen, and they all bring something that's worthwhile to the table. So I think that's really important to say. It's actually interesting, Mary Lee's, what she explained about her experience in the medical field when she was in the military. When I was in the Air Force, I was a JAG, so I started out as a prosecutor, but the best thing that ever happened was I got an assignment as an area defense counsel after that. So basically, I represented people who were scared, I'm gonna say for their lives. A lot of these kids did not have a lot of money from where they were coming from, a lot to go home to. They're 18 years old, 19 years old, and they made a mistake. And a lot of times, I was the only person that was kind of on base, their friend, there for them. Because in the military, when you're on the other side of the justice system, most people don't want to be anywhere near you. So I got to see what it's like when people are isolated, the mental health struggles that brings to people. And by the way, people in that population who are offending in some ways, a lot of them do have a mental health issue they are coming in with. The statistics in my job as a defense counsel, about 50% of the Air Force Defense Council had a suicide with a client during their 2-year term. Thank God that wasn't me. I never had that, but I had a couple of very close calls. I also, not to talk too much about military service from a long time ago, but another thing is I was serving in the military at a time before when the opioid epidemic was going on. Sackler family was making a lot of money, but before all the national press was out there. And I will tell you, the generation of soldiers, sailors, airmen that I served with were being prescribed opioids like it was candy. So I bring to this job the perspective that there's always another side of the story. There are always different perspectives, and no one should be written off. Even if they've done something wrong, everyone's voice matters in this country, and at least that's the Democratic Party I believe in. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service, Mary Lee and Ian. Thank you, and appreciated those stories. My story is, I actually started well before I got elected to DuPage County Board. I was an attorney, well, I am an attorney. I had 3 kids, and I started getting really tired of hate crimes happening all over the country. And that is when I decided to do something. My youngest was, well, actually, I was expecting my 3rd at the time that I started my work. So I co-authored the hate crime law, the amendment to the hate crime law in Illinois that unanimously passed in 2017, making it the strongest hate crime law in Illinois, even more than California's. Thank you. I also fought for women. I am proudly pro-choice, pro-woman, and I protect minorities. I fight for them. I was on a panel, I spoke at a panel at the United Nations in 2017. So I was always fighting. And one day I finally ran for county board. It's that passion for fairness and justice that I operate with on the county board as well, protecting everybody. I was the chair of strategic planning, which we finally won an award for last November, and I had a race relations series, discovering, just exploring our different communities and what their needs are and making sure that we are addressing those needs. My first year in office, I passed 3 resolutions, one of them being diversity and inclusion imperative being a part of our strategic plan and our goal on the county board. And some people said, oh, well, what's that gonna do? It did a lot. It actually provided more opportunities to minorities for contracts, for veterans, for women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, and we've made a lot of improvement in that area, because my point was to the chair, who was Republican at the time, I said, I see the same contracts over and over again given to the same companies. Let's give other people a chance. We have so much talent in DuPage County. And because we're not home rule, we're not a taxing body, I have to figure out ways, and it's my personal task, to figure out ways how to make more revenue. How do we have more revenue streams coming into the county so our constituents don't have to pay? So our constituents don't have to be burdened by that. And I'm proud to say with my cannabis initiative, it brought in $4 million the first year. Well, it didn't bring it, it was supposed to bring it in, some paperwork wasn't, I'm not gonna get into that, but it brings in millions of revenue. So there are other initiatives, this diversity inclusion imperative that I initiated brought in revenue. The cannabis initiative brought in revenue. So that is what we need to work towards and make sure that our county is operating well. I don't like the narrative of Democrats not being fiscally responsible, that we don't know math and economics. We do, and we have a great county board, and we are doing great fiscally. So we all have to set an example for that, and I'm proud to do that, and thank you.
Thank you, Sadia. So what life experiences do I have that make me a good fit for this role, and how would that be beneficial to my constituents? So I am an attorney, and I have spent the past 12 years of my legal career helping those who need help, helping those who are in need. Primarily Social Security disability. I've been representing people who are going through that system, and that system is built to work against you. It takes years to get approved for Social Security disability, and all people are trying to do is to prove to the federal government, I am disabled, I deserve dignity, I deserve a roof over my head. So I have spent years fighting for those who need that help. Primarily, most of my career has been in the bankruptcy field. I worked first as a debtor attorney representing people who are filing bankruptcy. We are all one medical emergency away from having to be in that position where we file bankruptcy, one job loss away. Everyone, not everyone, but most people nowadays are paycheck to paycheck. So I've spent my career representing and fighting for them, and I now work at the trustee's office, which handles the money for the bankruptcy system. So I know what is going on with the families in DuPage, not only financially, but also when it comes to things that they're fighting for, like their health. And with knowing what's going on in DuPage, because I've practiced primarily here, I know what the board should be fighting for. And they have done a great job so far at having programs that help the people. So I think what's unique about my experience is that constituents, a lot of people that are in my district, I've already actually worked with, and I know the issues that they are facing. So I'd say that's primarily the reason why it would make me a unique option and a unique choice for District 2. Thank you.
So I guess the question was, what makes you unique or different from your opponent? And I would say I grew up in political violence. When I was really young, I saw bombs go out. I've seen my own nanny's blood splashed against the wall. I'm the only immigrant on this panel. When I moved here, I didn't speak English well. I worked my tail off. I went to Loyola Chicago, Purdue, and earned my degree and worked as a public health director. Because that is what America is. It gives you the opportunity, no matter if your name is Mahnur Ahmed, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're brown, it does not matter. Americans welcome everyone. And that is what is at stake. We need someone who's lived through these experiences, who knows the urgency right now. We had a woman shot in the face because she stood up for people like me. We need to understand that we can no longer wait on the sidelines and think about what to do. We have to do it now. The urgency is here. We need strong Democratic candidates who are gonna fight like hell, because otherwise we're not winning. This is the second time we've lost to Trump. This is the time we have to look at ourselves. You know, when my son does something once or twice, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong, I need to say it a different way. And when I say it a different way, he understands. He's like, yeah, this is how I'm supposed to do it. So that's what we need to do. We've done it once, we've done it twice. Now the third time, we really gotta take it home. Every level of government, we need a strong Democrat, someone who's gonna fight like hell, someone who is not shy, who's not gonna sit on the sidelines, who's not gonna take the back seat. When I first joined politics, it was because I had a patient who I watched, healthy individual, who went into the ER, came back as an amputee. He ended up in an apartment with no job, no work, no family, no one to care for. And that wasn't because of his personal failures. It was because of the policy failures. No matter how much I worked on the ground, these individuals were hurting. Unless we change our policies, unless we galvanize each and every voter who look like me, who don't look like me, we're not gonna do well. That is why I'm here. Because I'm here to fight for public health. I'm here to fight for women. I'm here to fight for seniors. I'm here to fight for every Black and brown community who's gone invisible. Especially, most especially, under this current administration.
being young, having been involved for a number of years already, but having been homeless in DuPage County just a couple of years ago, but also having grown up poor, right? I grew up not as well off as my neighbors, not as well off as a lot of people I went to school with, and that perspective, like in DuPage County, when you're around a lot of wealth, it is so much more evident when you don't have it. And, you know, having to grow up, sometimes going to bed hungry. There were times when we went to bed as kids where you have to wear winter coats. Our community. All of the elected officials, all of the agencies that have to work collaboratively to active collaboration amongst everybody involved in that process. So,
Sorry, guys. I touched something, it was the wrong thing.
not as well off as my neighbors, not as well off as a lot of people I went to school with, and that perspective, like in DuPage County, when you're around a lot of wealth, it is so much more evident when you don't have it. And, you know, having to grow up, sometimes going to bed hungry. There were times when we went to bed as kids where you have to wear winter coats because you just couldn't afford to turn the heat all the way up because that's going to cost money, right? So we had to find creative ways to get by, and you have to get by because you have no other choice. And, you know, when I was homeless, the same thing. It's like, you know, the tears stop, but then what else comes after? Like, you have to figure out how to continue to move on with your life. And I think those experiences change you as a person, they change me as a person, and they inform how I come to decision-making tables as a school board member, as president of the Young Democrats of DuPage, right? It is, how are the policies we're passing affecting the most vulnerable people in our communities that often never get a seat at the table, right? I am the voice for the voiceless so often, and I think when it comes to, like, we love to talk about the spending that we put towards county programs and additional funding, but how are we measuring outcomes of those programs? Like, how do we, you know, I'd love to get into finer details of looking at outcomes of things, of investments that we make. So I think that not only just being young and like trying to buy a home in DuPage County, right? There's no sense of affordability in DuPage County, especially for young people. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to buy a home in the place that I'd like to build a family and start a life. And that's a problem for me because this is where I grew up, this is where I want to stay. And so when you're talking about what I bring versus my opponent, I'm trying to start from scratch and start from a place of, I don't have anything handed to me, I've had to work for everything I've got. And I know that that is not a unique thing to a lot of people in the county right now who are struggling, and that perspective is an investment in myself, right? It's how am I going to be able to stay in this county if these things don't get addressed? And I think I'm the best suited to answer those questions.
That my grandpa started, Club Lago, that my dad took over, and now my brother and I run it. And that my grandpa started. So I own a business. I own a little restaurant that my grandpa started, Club Lago, that my dad took over, and now my brother and I run it. And we employ 13 souls. Bill Gates, I am not. But the ability to make a payroll, the ability to not bounce a check, the ability to keep everybody on staff during hard times or good times is really important. A brief example, in 2009, a building collapsed on us. Our little restaurant is a 2-story building. There's a 5-story building next door. On the morning of March 18th, God, I used to remember to the day, the chimney collapsed on us and we were closed for 6.5 months. No one was killed, no one was hurt, but we were closed for 6.5 months and we kept everyone on payroll. And it was the single biggest fight with our insurance company to do so. I didn't know how to tell people in the middle of the economic downturn, kiss off, go find another job. And we kept everybody on payroll knowing that it was the right thing to do. That doesn't necessarily translate perfectly into government, but I understand what it means to be responsible for the well-being of people and how that translates to the well-being of their families.
Okay, now, in the interest of time, I'm going to skip the last question. It wasn't all that riveting. But if you guys could do a summation of 90 seconds, and Sue will time you, and we'll do, we'll start with you in the middle, Sadia, and then we'll do Mary, and then we'll do Ian, and then we'll do Manure, and then we'll do Mary Lee. Okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm ready. 90 seconds. Go. Okay. I want to thank everybody here. I want to thank Claire for giving me Claire and the whole LTDO team giving me the opportunity to be here today, all of us. Thank you very much. And I do appreciate everybody's support that you've given me for the last 7 years. So thank you for that opportunity of serving you. It's a privilege. It really is. So just to sum it up, I've been working even before I got elected in 2018. I've been your DuPage County Board member since 2018, proud to serve. I mentioned the co-author of the hate crime law, passing the 3 resolutions my first 6 months in office, and I was here for you during Trump's first administration, the pandemic, and then Trump's second administration, and we've done a lot of great things. If you go to my website, voteforcovert.com, you'll see all the work that I've done. I have a whole list of them, so I can't summarize that for you in 90 seconds. My yard signs are there and my literature is there as well for more information. I have passed initiatives that brought in millions of dollars of revenue, so you don't have to pay extra. And also, I'm very happy and proud of the endorsements that I have received from majority of our Democratic leaders here, Senator Laura Ellman, State Representative Stephanie Kifwit, most of the major unions. I'm very pro-union. I don't know where we'd be without them. So most major unions, Chair Conroy, township officials, thank you so much. They have endorsed me because they trust me and they know that I could do the job and I could do the work, and I have been doing the job, so I'm very proud of that. And also, just one more thing, I have beaten Republicans in every one of my races. So we do have a general, and I have a history of beating every Republican, so thank you.
So I believe the reason that I am qualified for this job and why I'm running and chose this job is because I bring hands-on experience and a deep understanding of how budgets work and the policies, decisions, basically the budget decisions that we make, how they affect real people. I do this work every day at the trustee's office. My day is spent reviewing families' budgets, reviewing financial documents. The county board is a grander scale of this. So not only do I currently understand what is going on with residents of DuPage, but this is work I'm intimately familiar with and I've spent years doing. I think it's important to note that this is not, the board is not, a policy position or legislative position. It is a budgetary position. We need people in the office in this role who will support our ideals, who will have and fund programs that will take care of the people, that will make sure our money is spent in a way that takes care of us. We all know what's going on federally, that things are being cut left and right just because of what we believe in and what our state, how it's a blue state. We need to make sure that the board has people on who will fight for us and that will continue to fund these programs and will make sure that we have like a catch-all to I call it a slush fund, but it's not really a slush fund, to make sure that our programs are supported so that we are taken care of. That is what I intend to do. I intend to take all of my experience. I intend to take all the budget things that I have done in my career to the board to make sure that we continue to run. I have the endorsement of Chair Deb Conroy, all 3 of the District 2 seated members, including Ina Yu, who I'm running for her seat, Sadia Covert from District 5, Mary Ozak from District 4, Greg Schwarzy, District 6, Andrew Honig, Paula Deacon Garcia, as well as Democratic Chair Reed McCollum. So Mary Rita Walters, Walters for DuPage, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know it's been a long day, so thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for hosting the forum, Claire. I believe leadership is about giving people something to believe in that's bigger than themselves. And more than ever, I think it is crucial that people in our community believe in their local government and feel a connection to that. Why now more than ever? Because if we're being honest, our national government is failing. It is failing as a democratic institution, small d democratic, where our votes count, where we can speak freely as citizens without worrying about state violence, where people aren't prosecuted for their political views. So for people who are losing a lot of hope, looking at their local officials and knowing that we're out there fighting for them where the rubber meets the road is more important than ever. I'm so proud of the 5 years of service I've had as an elected official on a local level, passing a ban on the retail sale of assault weapons, passing legislation to bring in housing for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, bringing in mental health response unit, which I mentioned earlier, and so many other programs, big and small in Naperville. And one I think that I'll close with, and that meant so much to me, was at a time when we had a very different composition on our city council, was never afraid to stand up for our values. 53 programs were given full funding for special events. And guess what the one program was that was singled out for a cut? It was Pride Fest. I took it to the mat, we fought, and we restored funding. Because you do what's right whether you're in the majority or the minority. Thank you.
Oh, that's right, it was gonna be minority.
No, go
Sorry
ahead.
about that.
Yeah.
Thank you for remembering.
So 90 seconds is definitely not enough time for me, but January 18th, we're having a brunch at the Lombard Lagoon from 12 to 4. I would love to see you guys there so I can carry on this conversation. But I can sit here and talk about how I've managed 17 hospitals, how I've had physicians and nurses on payroll and have directed and made sure that safety net hospitals are not lost. But that is not all DuPage County does. Right now, I cannot emphasize this enough, we need strong Democratic leaders, strong Democratic people in the forefront so we can galvanize the minorities back to the Democratic Party. Why did the Latino vote in Florida go to Trump? It is because of the affordability crisis. It's because we're not talking to them. Look around this room. Just look around this room and you will have your answer. We need to get out there more. We need to have conversations with people who are not involved, who don't understand. And when you talk to them affordability and what you can do for them, and they know the Democratic Party is the true party that will fight for their affordability, not whatever Trump is lying and telling them. And that is why I am here. And one more thing, all the endorsements of all the leadership and everything else, that's great, it's amazing. But what we need is someone who can really earn your vote, someone who talks to you, who will be proud to get your endorsement. And that is what I'm focused on, is on you, and I hope to have that. Thank you, and you could go on Mahnor, FOR, DuPage, so it's MAHNOOR, and then FOR, DuPage.com, and you'll see my endorsements. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisle Township. Thank you to all of you for coming out tonight to listen and participating. I think that for years we probably were putting our head in the sand, and it wasn't until a decade ago that we realized we had to pay attention. My name is Mary Lee Liu. I'm running for county board here in District 5. I'm from a small town where there was a population of approximately 250 people. That small town, the biggest divide was whether you went to the Lutheran church or the Christian church. Those stakes seem pretty small right now. The stakes are pretty high. My experience in the Navy, I was able to put myself through college and earn my bachelor's by clepping most of my degree, over 60 credit hours. I found my seat on the Regional Office of Education Board and became president because it was on, nobody had put in for it, and I saw that it was going to be vacant. So I became a write-in candidate. I've been leading in leadership. I've been leading anything from my homeowners association, which is now only 265 houses, so even bigger than the small town I came from, because in the military, when you do well, you move up. And the thing about me is I'm gonna find a way. I'm curious. I have grit. There's going to need to be new ideas, and I feel like I bring that to the table. And I would invite you to go to my website, Mary Lee for DuPage, and reach out to me to have further discussions. Thank you all for coming tonight.
I have Guido and Christopher's 90 seconds here too. Hang on.
I'll give you see
Can you
me.
give me 1 second? I'm gonna see if I can put a timer up just so.
Sure. And then, do you see me, by the way?
And I think we have a duty as America, I'm sure, that the. Give me 1 second.
And at 15 seconds, I'll kind of give you a high sign and show you my phone.
I appreciate. Oops, sorry, wait,
All right. You're ready?
I gotta get this off. Okay.
All right, let's go. Good luck.
So thanks for the opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to come to all of the Lisle Township Democratic Organization meetings. This is a delicate response because it sounds like I am knocking my opponent, Chris Espinosa. I am not. If I lose, I will knock on doors for Chris Espinosa. I will advocate for him. I know Rusty Stevens, the opponent that one of us will face, and with my eyes closed, Chris Espinosa is a better representative for DuPage County Board with my eyes closed. Having said that, I'll give an example of an experience where I think my experience in business and government puts me in better stead. I supported a police station in the city of Elmhurst that was expensive, $48 million. And I am prepared to push back and explain to people why that's the right vote. But before I got there, I needed a lot of understanding, a lot of convincing. And I was in the room with the mayor, a 20-year city manager, and the police chief. We're all more or less saying, come on, go along to get along. And I don't know if I would have had the wherewithal to say, sorry, I'm not going along to get along when I was brand new out of school. I have that wherewithal now. I'd be honored to serve you.
Okay, that's it? All right.
Okay, so, my name is Christopher Espinosa, and I'm running for DuPage County Board in District 2, because I believe that I'm best suited to answer the questions that other board members don't even know to ask. I grew up in DuPage, I grew up poor in DuPage, and I know what it's like to be on the edges of society, on the edges of community, where you feel like you don't know where the systems in place are built to help you or keep you down. And we desperately need more people in positions of elected office on the county board and higher to make sure that we are looking out for those most vulnerable as we see cost of living increases across the county and across the country. As we see, you know, federal officers coming into our county and arresting our friends and neighbors. As an individual, I am most affected by this being 25, being somebody who doesn't own a home, being somebody who has family members who have been affected by ICE. I'm uniquely positioned to be around for the long haul to make sure that as a county, we are looking out for everybody and not just those who have the most and already are established, right? We need to make sure that we are providing additional investments in house. Okay. Was that the time?
15
Oh,
seconds.
15 seconds, my apologies, okay. Sorry. We need to increase affordable housing in the county, attainable housing. We need more economic investment to make sure that people are coming to our county, staying in our county, contributing to our local economy, and we do that by providing resources to those who are most vulnerable.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you. All right, so to be clear, Christopher and Guido on the video, 4-year terms, County Board 2, Manor and Mary, County Board 2, 2-year terms. And then we have these lovely people on the end, the 3 on the end here, County Board 5, 4-year terms. Okay, thank you very much for coming up